Ladies and gentlemen, today we have found the first 2026 Prevost Liberty Coach. Always an honor to be here with Frank Center from Liberty Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great on the Saturday morning, you bet.
Absolutely, working on a weekend to come show us the latest and greatest, and another stunning Artist Series design. But what is the story with this coach?
This is one built for a client. This is going to be their fourth Liberty Coach. They had bought one of the coaches that actually was a demo of mine a number of years back. We kind of basically met at Bristol, at the Bristol Speedway, if I'm not mistaken. And then we built, now this being the third custom unit for them. So this is pretty exciting. This is a really cool coach.
So another Liberty Coach owner that stays in the Liberty Coach family and gets a new coach every few years. How many of your new Liberty Coach orders would you say are repeat business versus first-time Liberty owners?
I'm going to say well over 50%. We've been seeing that for quite a while. We've had obviously some new people come in that haven't had coaches at all, or they've come from another brand or from the Class A world. We've got a couple of those that we're going to be building for toward the end of this year that are going to be happening and into next year as well. Around 50%, I'm going to say, is repeat.
Yes, sir, and I keep a close eye on the market values of different coaches and the way they depreciate over time. And without a doubt, Liberty Coach holds value and holds the highest premium on the resale market, even as coaches age. What is it about the Liberty Coach brand that creates such a demand and they hold their value better than any other motor coach out there?
Well, we're getting in to be 54 years old as far as the company. So I think that speaks volumes that we've been here. We're a family-owned business. We've got a lot of generations that are in the business as well. The quality of what we do, the quality of what we have done for so many years, how we service the product, the name, the brand itself, being tied to Prevost as well. I think all of that together, is what builds that and keeps that resale value. I mean, you can see that in units that we've had that have been 2024 9660s and 2025 9660s that have come back for one reason or another. People have had change of life or they've decided to do something different. We've resold those coaches. You've never even seen them hit the website. They've sold so quick. And they've held their value very well also.
Yeah, and the only one that I know in the industry that has a lifetime workmanship warranty to the original owner. Are you still carrying that in 2026?
We do. There's equipment that we have, but those are things, when we look at that, that is something that we have done for so many years, and it's done on what we build, on the conversion part. The individual parts have their warranties as far as that goes, but what we build, we're that confident in the quality of what we do that we should be able to stand behind that for the life of the coach or the lifetime that the customer owns the coach, the first owner. So.
And we saw the late Charlie Daniels had over 2 million miles, I believe, on his Liberty Coach, and you guys were still caring for that coach throughout his life.
Exactly.
And no squeaks and rattles.
No squeaks and rattles. We do the best we can.
Well, now this is the new 9660 shell. Being the first 2026, how many of the new body style Prevost have you converted so far?
Well, 901 was the first one of the 9660, and now this is going to be Coach 922. Wow. So we've got, 21 of them out there, or there will be out there.
Yes, sir, and this Artist Series paint design is just really stunning with the different shades of blues. Do you know if there was an inspiration for this Artist Series?
I don't really know. I don't get involved in that part of it with Dean and the client. That's something that they work out together. We have a paint job that's included in the coach, and then when they start to get with Dean and those ideas start getting thrown back and forth, and there's other things that come together, and then some of our Artist Series, he's been breaking some of that apart and then doing a little bit of one part here, one part there, that type of thing. But we don't stay into that part of it. We really focus on the conversion aspect of it. So when the exteriors come together, that's completely between Dean and the client.
Yes, sir. And I know in the Artist Series, they're starting to do stuff like, painting through the bays, also bringing the paint through the front windows here. And I think that's a pretty expensive option to go to the Artist Series.
That's in what I was just saying as far as breaking things out. Like we could do the painting of the door handles as a separate item. It doesn't have to be included into a whole package. The windows in the rear, that's something that we as Liberty Coach is part of our package that we do with Dean.
But they can do a la carte work. I know he's done some cool stuff with the wheels.
Sure.
And now this has the floating center caps on it, just a classy style that we've seen since Liberty Coach 901 was the first with
correct.
that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Kind of that Rolls Royce look. And are the Liberty Coach owners enjoying those?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's pretty cool when you see them go by or when you're driving next to one going down the road. It's pretty slick.
Absolutely. And then the new e-mirrors. Now, this coach has the e-mirrors and the regular
Right.
mounted mirrors. Is that something you're doing standard,
Yes.
or what's
yeah.
your...
Every coach that we build on the 9660 is going to have both the e-mirrors and the standard mirrors. That's the way that they're going to come. Now, if the customer decides later on that they want to take the standard mirrors off, there is a plug that's available that can go in its place, and they can do that if they want.
And I've heard Prevost owners just raving about the e-mirrors, driving in the evening, driving in foggy conditions, just a game changer for sure.
In the rain and at night, you know, sometimes you get the glare in the regular mirrors, you know, with the, you know, the stuff being wet, but with the e-mirror, it's a game changer for sure on that.
I recently heard a Prevost owner mention that if they're going and the sun's coming in that window, they can now put their shade all the way down and have that privacy and utilize that e-mirror, so get a little more privacy.
Good point.
Keep the coach cool.
You bet. Good point.
Yes, sir. Well, what's going on with this coach?
Well, get into the bays here. This is, again, the blackout that we've done, that we started back on coach 908. So tool drawer here, soft close on the drawers, and also the metal box drawers now as opposed to what we had done before. So in the blackout carpet, got the slide out tray mechanism here, extra parts, belts, what have you that come with the coach as far as new. This coach also has the Josh AI system in it as well.
What is that Josh AI system? We've talked about it in the past a little bit, but it's been quite a while. What is that exactly?
The Josh AI system is a control system that works with the Crestron system, and it's a conversationalist way of controlling things. So you can come in and say, hey Josh, good morning. And that can have a complete amount of scenes. The shades come up, the TV comes on, it goes to a certain channel like you want to watch in the morning, or certain music, that type of thing. You can say goodnight to it, does that. You can say, hey Josh, you know, open up the front shades, close the pocket door in the bedroom. You know, that you can do a lot of things with it at one time, as opposed to like Alexa, you can just do certain commands. Josh only holds that stuff for about 5 seconds. It doesn't go to a cloud, so it's extremely private. And in fact, it's a license that you buy as well. So you're licensed to that device, so then you can take that device and go from coach to coach as you're moving through coaches. If you know you're trading around or moving around in coaches, you can do that as well.
Is that something the owner can work with Liberty Coach to program exactly what they want?
Continually. There's things that can be changed. You know, there's different ideas that can come up. There's all kinds of stuff that can be done with that. My son Alex is involved in that pretty in depth. So, you know, as people are using the coach, and it needs to learn you too, because everybody has a different way that they talk, you know, from southern people, northern people, western, you know, so it learns that as well. So there's, you know, ways that it builds on it on its own too, so it's pretty neat.
Very cool. And how long has Liberty Coach been using that Crestron technology in your coaches?
The Crestron technology has been since 2001. Josh AI, I think we started on that in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're about 5 or 6 years into it.
And you're a Crestron programmer, and your son is as well?
Yep. I don't do as much as I used to with it, but I still can get in there and dabble. Alex does a significant amount of it for each coach. You bet. And we have other programmers that work with us as well.
And I have heard Liberty Coach owners just talk about how much they enjoy working with Alex, you know, with that kind of stuff. He's kind of techie, really enjoys the technology aspect.
Yeah, he gets involved with the customer base on a pretty heavy level for sure. You know, answering calls, service calls. You know, Kurt's boys are involved, and Nick and Riley are involved as well. They're more in the shop part of it, so they don't interact with the customer base as much as Alex does, but they're definitely involved in the day-to-day operations as well.
Yes, sir.
So second bay, we again have the drawers up here. Client had a special ladder that they wanted, so we built a rack for that ladder to slide in and out here. We then have the sliding bay here as well. Again, both of the front bays on our coach are pass-through bays, so you have a lot of storage here. And again, it keeps the weight off the front axle with having all of the heavy equipment toward the back. So our coach is going to ride and drive a little bit differently. 65-inch TV that we've had on coaches for many years with our own mechanism for sliding in and out as far as that goes in the swivel, and it can lock into place as well.
And this being a triple slide coach, we have very easy access to all of the front bays up here, and then more space underneath the awnings when those come out. How many triple slides are you building a year? How many doubles and how many quads?
We'll do 12 coaches a year, so out of that, I think we're going to end up this year with 1 or 2 quads, and then the rest are going to be triples. We don't have any doubles for this year at this point. Next year, I think we're going to get into a couple more quads and triples, and we may end up with 1 or 2 doubles next year. We'll see how that goes.
So the triple slides seem to be the most popular.
Yeah, they do. The way people use the coach, I think because of the fact you can sit in the front of the coach, because not everybody sits in the passenger seat, or not every passenger will sit in the co-pilot seat. So you can sit in other areas of the coach and be able to have a good view out the front going down the road without the obstruction of the other slide. Also the other slide being out here, it's not obstructing this area too, so just like you said, you've got a little bit more room. It depends on how you use the coach. It's really kind of hard to say. It's, you know, some people love quads, some people go quad and then go to triples. You're not stepping down in any way, shape, or form. Some people do triples, go to the quads, and then go back to triples. So, you know, it's all over the place.
And you're a Liberty Coach user yourself. Someone recently was saying in the comments how they, you know, see you out and about in coaches, using the coaches, and that really creates an understanding of being the end user, just little things that are going to make the end user's life easier.
Sure.
Now, I know you're usually running hard in the summer. Do you have any big plans to take a Liberty Coach out this summer at all?
Well, yeah, we'll be up in Petoskey like we normally are at the end of July. We have our week at the Hearthside Grove there. We have our garden party the 25th of July up there as well. Right after that, then we transition out to Spearfish for Sturgis. This is going to be the 85th anniversary. This will actually be my 30th year going to Sturgis, so it's going to be kind of neat to be able to do that. It's
That's
like,
incredible.
Wow, 30 years. You know,
Yes, sir. Not too many people can say that.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, we'll be doing that. Road Hogs and with Bus and Biker and also Prevost Motor Coach, we get into the fall, September, October. So
Well, you're going to be busy now.
Yeah.
The first time we filmed together out in Spearfish, you had a spec coach. It was a new 2020 spec coach. And I know over the last few years, supply and demand has been a little out of whack. Do you have another spec coach coming soon, or what are you going to be taking up there this summer?
I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be a new coach, but we'll have something that we're going to take. We've got some stuff that's coming in on trade here pretty soon that might be interesting, or some of the inventory. We've got 2 or 3 units that we own that's in our inventory now, and the other ones are in consignment. So we'll just have to see how things go. There's still some time here.
Yes, and those pre-owned units are always changing very quickly, coming in and going quickly. What's the best way for someone that may not want to get into a brand new Liberty, but maybe dip their toe in the water and get a pre-owned Liberty first? What's the best way to keep an eye on your pre-owned inventory?
Website, libertycoach.com. That's the best way to do it. And then we also have the other company that's part of this organization, which is the Motorhome Exchange. So, you know, you can go on to that website as well. That's going to have pre-owned inventory that's Liberty Coach 10 years and older, and other units that are non-Liberty Coach. So, you know, you've got quite a variety here to look at.
Yes, sir. And if someone's really serious and want to do something soon, they should probably get a conversation going with you or one of your team members here to stay on the radar for anything coming in.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So in here we have fourth bay. This is going to be storage here. On the other side of this, we've got the DEF tank and the fuel tank. We have fuel. You can fuel the coach on both sides. This is a locking door for the fuel fill on the passenger side. The driver's side has a locking door as well, and you have fuel and DEF as far as being able to do that there.
What's the size of the fuel tank?
Fuel tank is 180 gallons. They had made a change on that and went to a 180 gallon tank here this past summer. So we've got a 180 gallon tank here now.
Okay.
And then the DEF is the same size as it's always been. I think it's around 36 gallons, something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Freshwater tank, or our wet bay if you call it. We've got the Culligan reverse osmosis system here for the drinking water that comes to the refrigerator and to the ice maker. Headhunter water pump. We've got a 40-gallon water heater that's electric. It's also heated from the main engine through a heat exchanger. It's also heated by the S-Bar hot water heating system that heats the interior of the coach, which also keeps the main engine at 162 degrees, which then is flowing through that water heater as well, so you can have hot water through the DC source being the S-Bar as well. Freshwater tank here is stainless steel. You've got an aluminum holding tank. We have the ability to dump the holding tank on both sides of the coach, which is not normal. Most companies only have, you know, on the driver's side. We have the ability, and have had for many years, the ability to dump on both sides. We have the freshwater tank dump here as well on this side, and you can hook city water to both sides of the coach as well. The other side, when we get there, you'll see that's on a reel, a 100-foot hose reel. We have cleaning filters for the different water systems in the coach as well, and then pre-filters for the rest of the coach. Our water system is done on a trunk basis. It's very similar to how you would have in your home. So we have valves throughout the coach so that you can shut things off if need be, if you do have a leak one way or another. But if you do have a leak in one area, you're not having to come down here and just shut the whole system down. You still have the ability to use other areas in the coach.
And is it common to get leaks in these coaches, or?
You know, you hope not, you know, but every so often you can get something that might happen. It's a possibility. Do the best you can to make sure things are tight, but sometimes things can happen. There's no question about that. But it's pretty unusual. It really is.
And if there is a leak, is that something that would be covered under that lifetime workmanship
Oh, yeah.
warranty?
Certainly,
is?
yeah,
Okay.
because that's something that we did, that we built. So yes, absolutely.
And you mentioned that you have an aluminum
Holding
holding
tank.
tank and then a steel freshwater tank.
Stainless steel.
A stainless steel freshwater
Yep.
tank.
Mhm.
Is there a reason for using two different types of tanks?
Mainly the stainless steel tank for the fresh water was to have a cleaner tank, you know, for the freshwater system, similar to have, like, you know, when you see milk trucks going down the road, they're stainless steel, right?
Yes, sir.
So the same type of principle, that was done that way for many years. The holding tank really didn't need to be that way, so that's why it was done in aluminum.
So aluminum's gonna be a little lighter,
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
imagine.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of lessons over your 54 years and rhyme and reason in the way you
For
do
sure.
things.
But tank monitoring, we have tank monitoring on both sides of the coach, as well as on all the Crestron pads and the iPads that are in the coach as well. So you've got tank monitoring throughout the entire coach, alarms as well, automatic tank fill. That was something that we designed many years ago. Tank gets down to about 25%. The freshwater valve is going to open, and as long as you're hooked up to city water, then it'll fill to a little bit over 80% and then shut off. So we're always using the water that's in the tank all the time. And you need to do that because the Headhunter toilets really require that Headhunter pump that to be able to give the volume for that water jet toilet to work properly.
And what are your holding tank capacities?
They're right around 170. Again, the water heater is 40 gallon. So we've got a lot of capacity here.
Yeah, much bigger than most everybody out there.
Right. Going back through here, again, the center hub covers touch on the blind spot detection system, which is here. These are the radar devices. There's 3 of those that are on the side of the coach, one in the back, one mid, and then one up in the front. Those have indicators that are on the A-pillar driver's side and the center pillar at the dash. They will pick up vehicles or anything that's about a lane away from the coach on either side, and plus about 20 some feet behind the coach. So you can catch stuff that may be coming up near your tow vehicle or your trailer as well. So these units are non-susceptible to weather like mud, snow, ice, that type of thing. So, you know, they've been very, very good for us, very resilient, pretty much bulletproof. We've had them on there since our 2021 Coach 865, if I'm not mistaken.
Huge safety feature. And
Yep.
I'm just noticing here, we've got some other beautiful Liberty coaches in your showroom here, but this slide room, that's got to be like 10 or 12 feet long. It's a
11 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
huge slide room.
Yep.
And I'm looking, there's another quad slide Liberty coach over here that slide room just doesn't seem to be
Right.
quite as long. Is this going to be the super slide?
This is the Super Slide, Super Suite. Yep.
Nice. Is that pretty popular? How
No.
many of your coaches have that super suite?
Every
now?
one of them that we build,
Yeah,
Every
that's-
one on the triples for sure.
Yes, sir.
We've got the rear engine compartment here, this stainless steel box we make for storage as far as whatever you want to put inside there, oils, hoses, whatever we want to do as far as that goes. We have the ability to plug the coach in on the starboard side here if you have a separate cord for shore power. This is a 30 amp 220 outlet. This would come from the generator or from inverter or from shore power, so you could power up your trailer. It's not to be used while driving down the road, but as you're sitting still, you could plug up a trailer if you wanted to, or some device
sir.
behind that.
Yeah, and I'm noticing it looks like an air fitting here.
Yeah.
What is the reason for this?
This is to be able to, if the coach has to be towed. So this is how they would hook up here. The tow truck or whatever's going to tow the vehicle would hook up here to energize the brake system on the coach, so the brakes could be released.
Okay. And that probably doesn't happen too often.
We
but-
would hope not.
Yes, sir.
Hope not. Engine compartment here, we've got the Volvo D13, 500 horse, 1,850 foot-pounds of torque. This is our stainless steel belt guard here that we put on. Some people like to have this, some people don't. It's nice to have it on here. It keeps things cleaned up so you don't see the belts running around. We do have an air belt tightening system that runs on this side of the coach to be able to keep the belt that drives this equipment, which is going to be your air conditioning compressor and the 2 Volta 58 volt alternators that are back here. Those are 10 kW each. So the air belt tightening system there is always going to keep constant tension on those belts, as well as spring tension also. We talk about Prevost as far as their serviceability and, you know, how many years they've been in the business, how many miles, millions of miles on the road, and they're very service oriented. So the things that are throughout the entire coach to be able to be serviced quickly, parts availability, and what have you to keep these coaches on the road, because for the most part, these coaches are making money for people, right? In the tour industry, entertainment industry. For us, we have that advantage in the motor coach industry that we still have that type of backing behind us for this type of coach. So we're real proud about that.
Yeah, priceless value, and having the Prevost service network there to support you while you're going down the road. And you mentioned two 10 kW alternators. Those are going to be much beefier and more robust than a lot of the other alternators we see in the motorhome industry.
Right.
What is your reasoning for having such overkill, just massive?
Well, you can run a lot of stuff going down the road. We can run 3 of the 4 air conditioners on the roof going down the road without running the generator. With the 58 volt battery packs, those are being charged at the same time that these units are operating that equipment. So you can run the microwave, which is a 220 unit going down the road. There's a lot of equipment that you can be running that's 110 volt or AC power going down the road, and this allows you to be able to do that, plus be able to put energy back into the batteries at the same time without running the generator. So there's quite a few people that say, I don't even know why we have a generator, because we rarely ever use it, so.
Yeah, probably a lot of I'd love to go through your lot sometime and just look at the generator hours on all these pre-owned Liberties.
Right.
It's probably amazing.
Right. Nice height on the slide room here. Nice round corners the Prevost has compared to the other manufacturers that are out there. Nothing to get your head bumped into, crack yourself open. And the way that Dean does the paint, all the way around, it's finished completely. Bottom side, sides, the whole thing is going to be the same. We open up the windows here. You can see that the paint goes through the framework of the windows as well. So there's no detail missed.
Yes, sir. And the Liberty coaches just, have such a presence. We recently saw you out in Texas at the Prevost Motor Coach Club rally.
Yep.
And I mean, when we walk up on those Liberties, there's just nothing like them. Very distinctive look to them for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it was great to see you there. We all get around, don't we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We see you all over the place. Yeah.
Okay, this is driver's side 5th bay, so it's stainless steel fresh water tank on this side is polished, and then we have a polished panel that we put on the holding tank over here. Our copper that we do, this is pretty signature. You've seen this on coaches that are 30 years old, for crying out loud,
yes,
and
sir.
They all look the same. You've seen them.
It's unbelievable, because we'll open the bay on an old Liberty coach and it just looks like it's still new. They just age so well. And when you're building these coaches, is there a process to find these materials that are going to age well? Or how do you think of this kind of stuff?
A lot of it is hit and miss when you do stuff, but we try and make sure that we put stuff in the coach that is a high quality material so it's going to last. And if we all of a sudden have something that's happened where we missed, or you see in a couple coaches go down the road and all of a sudden it's not lasting like we should or we thought it would, then we're going to have to get in there and change it and make sure that we get on top of it right away. But that's very rare that something like that happens. So it's quality of the materials that you buy. It costs more, which is why our coaches bring more of a premium. There's no question about that.
People out there will argue that when you look at the automotive market and you've got Bugattis that are $7 million, people think these Liberties should be $7 million and everything you put into them. I think you're a little underpriced. But what is the price on these triple slides now?
On the triple slides, you're getting into that 2.8, 2.9 range on retail as far as pricing there. And then again, that depends on paint too, because Artistry Series can add more to that. How much is that? I don't know. That's something that's in between the client and with Dean. So there can be some price changes that are in there. There can be things that are done on the interior, like on this coach, the ceiling system's more money. It's an upgrade on that. There's some other upgrades that are in the coach also. So there's some things that can vary those prices.
So you're pressing over $3 million if you really load one up?
You can, yeah. We get into a quad slide for sure, because the quad adds significant dollars to the shell, plus the interior also. So yeah, you can.
Do you remember the first time you guys did the brass piping in a plumbing bay? Who thought, was that like your dad or mom that thought of that?
I think it was my dad that thought about that at one point. Yeah, that goes way back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can imagine.
Long time. We've got the hose reel here. As far as a 100-foot electric reel, it pulls out manually and comes back electrically. We also have a hose bib on this side here. That was a request to do, so that you could take a hose out to the front windshield, knock the bugs off if you wanted to use that, or just have a separate hose coming out here. And then we have the washout head, spray head, that is retractable. Clean out the sewer hoses. Sewer hoses are stored in here. And then again, monitoring systems here. We also have the ability to wash out the holding tank. It's a button press here, so you'll take pressurized water into that holding tank to be able to wash that out occasionally if you'd like to. We talked about the fuel fill and def fill. That's done here. It's a locking cap. One thing I want to try and push on that we do all the time, the fuel and the def are in the same location. So we're not having to find def in the back or having to do it in jugs. We can do it right there at the fuel island because, you know, they have the def and the fuel at the same place, so you can do it all at the same time when you're at the fuel island.
Yes, sir. And I'm noticing there's a camera up here kind of just above the fuel bay.
Yep.
Are you able to take a look at that when you're lining up with the fuel
You know,
pump?
it's a great question because that has come up a couple times in the comments that I read as far as have a camera so you can see where the fuel island is compared to where the door is or the fuel cap is. And that can be used for that purpose for sure, because when you're driving on the road, of course, the slides are in and you can hit that 360 camera system and you can see right exactly where you need to be and where you need to stop. Fourth bay here, this is going to be storage. They opted to do the bins here. We have different configurations that we've done here with a closet or a combination of closet and storage bins. So it just kind of all depends on what the client would like to do. Generator is going to be located in this bay here. It's the 12.5 kW Onan unit. We also have the little giant ladder, which has been standard on our coach, you know, forever. We always supply a ladder with the coach. And then the generator is in its own hush box on top of the generator itself being in its own hush box. So it's a real quiet installation. Second bay here on the driver's side, kind of our electrical aspect that we have here. We've got the transfer box, which is where we transfer from shore power, generator power, inverter power. We have bypass switches as well in case something were to go down. You can bypass the coach. We have 3 5,000 watt inverters on the coach. 2 of them can be piggybacked to do 220 volt. So you can run like the Mealy microwave oven convection unit. We also have the third inverter, which its purpose in life is to run all of the equipment that is very sensitive. So like your Crestron equipment, the refrigerator, water pump, TVs, that type of stuff, Apple TVs, you know, the Wi-Fi system in the coach, so that stays live all the time. It never sees a power transition, so you never have a hiccup on that type of stuff. Your Starlink systems, your internet data systems, all of those routers and everything else, they'll all stay live all the time. You know, you get into other units that are out there, and when they make those power transitions, you could wait 3 to 5 minutes before, you know, everything comes back online. So
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
And that's a lot of the little stuff that I don't think everyone's thinking about to have that seamless experience for the end user. But at this level, people are not patient. When they flip that light switch on, they don't want to wait at all for a power transfer.
We've had this discussion before. You know, the biggest things that we all in this industry deal with are awnings and TV, right?
Exactly.
So we are starting to transition more and more away from satellite TV and going to like Apple TV and data, you know, streaming. Now what's the question we get into? How come the thing sits there and does a circle, or it's buffering? It's like, I don't know, you know.
That's a Wi-Fi issue.
It's AT&T, it's Starlink, it's somebody else, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
Do you have Starlink as an option in the Liberty coaches?
We've been doing Starlink on the coaches now. Almost all of them that have been built here this year, I believe, have had Starlink on them.
And that's standard?
Not standard, it's an option. And we've seen more people delete the HD satellite totally off the coach, no direct TV, and just do Starlink. And then we do have our dual 5G data system as well for cellular-based data. So we've got both of those on board the coach then at that time. Electrical systems in here, being able to stop the generator. Our control systems for shore power, generator power are down here. We've talked about it a few different times. This fuse bank that's over here, that's pretty much most all the fuses that you're going to find in this coach, because we run off the Maritz Octoplex system, which we've done since 2008, which everything is done off of a flat panel touchscreen. And then throughout the coach, there are boxes that have electronic programmable circuit breakers in them that are programmed from 1 amp to 30 amp, depending on what the load is. So if something happens in that load and it trips, it's just going to come up on the panel and tell you it's tripped. Hit the button, reset it, and then you're good to go. You're not having to open cabinets up, pull out stuff, get wiring sheets out, all of that. It makes troubleshooting a lot easier as far as that goes. So if you do have a problem beyond that, then we know that we have a problem with, you know, a motor or some kind of a light fixture, something's got a problem beyond that, which again makes it a lot easier to troubleshoot.
For an owner-operator, some of this stuff may be a little bit intimidating if someone's coming back here. Is there a phone number someone can call if they have an issue and they need someone to kind of walk them through how to operate everything?
Oh yeah, we've got the owner's portal that we've done videos on before. So we have the owner's portal that's on the website, and people email in, give us their VIN number, coach number, make sure that they have or own a Liberty Coach name, serial number, what have you, and then we can give them the password to the portal as far as that goes, and then they can get in and watch those videos to see how to operate certain equipment. The other way to do that is email into service office at libertycoach.com. That's the best way to get into it because it goes to the entire team and myself included. And then we have our phone number and our after hours phone numbers as well. The email is probably the best because it gets to everybody. You know, you can't always get to the phone, but you know, emails are coming up all the time, so we can get to people and get back to the team right away.
And I know you monitor that very religiously. Even if you're traveling, you're on it. So.
I do. Yes, and yeah, it could be intimidating, but there's reasons for how the stuff is here and how it's programmed, and it's easy to run, so there's really not a way to mess it up, if you will. So it's just really great for diagnostic purposes as well. Plus, the coach is going to send us out notifications. I get the notifications also. If the battery system's getting ready to shut down because the coach isn't plugged in, we can go back and look and see in the logs what happened, when the coach was disconnected from shore power, or whether it was ever hooked to shore power, or if the auto start was ever set. We can see those and they're logged in the system, so we can tell when and why things happened as well. So then we can get on the phone with customers. We did it this week a couple of different times. We were able to log into the coach and look at the cameras on the coach to be able to see that the shore power cord was just laying there. It wasn't plugged in because it was at a service location and they never plugged the coach in. So, you know, we were able to get a hold of the customer and let them know. We couldn't tell what location it was at, but, you know, GPS-wise on the system we could, but we didn't know who to call as far as that, other than just the customer. So once we got a hold of the customer, we said, hey, listen, call them, have them plug coach in. You know, there's things like that happen.
And what year was that coach?
That coach that happened on, it happened twice this week at different locations. Once was on a 2018 and another was on a 2025.
Wow, so you're monitoring even a coach that's 8 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You're keeping a close eye on your whole fleet.
Absolutely. And first bay here, driver's side, is going to be pretty well open. Again, we've got our box bin here with the different manuals for the different equipment that's in the coach, amplifiers for the dash radio. The awning chairs, they're mounted on the first two bay doors on either side of the coach, and then we have a slide out tray here on this side. So have a lot of height in here as far as storage. Slide room controllers with Prevost, they're located right here. So that box drops down, that controls the slide bladder as far as the seal, and also the mechanism for moving the slides in and out. We've talked about this, you've seen it many times. I mean, we can hop in this coach and close these slides up like now and get down the road, as opposed to, you know, Class A's or Newells as far as that goes. I mean, we can get going right away. Front service door here was changed on the 9660, so you've got a larger door here now. Washer fluid here, we've got oh, thank you.
well, what was that little noise that we just heard?
That was an air coming out because of the fact that the compressor had just been on before and it was just exhausting down. So just a relief. We have the ability to hook up here so you can get air out of the coach off the main compressor on the coach. So going to pump up tires, what have you. You can do that or run air equipment. Prevost has its own electrical front service here. The one in the rear is on the passenger side just after the tag axle on the passenger side of the coach. There's two different locations for their service as far as electronics. We didn't touch on it on the back. The back of the coach was changed on the 9660 to have more of a fairing on the back to keep the back of the coach cleaner, as well as to cut the fuel usage down to be more fuel economic. Same in the front of the coach, and then my brother Kurt designed the front cap and the rear cap on the coach to be able to accentuate that. And those caps, their main purpose is to be the interface to the awnings, so that, you know, you have a place for the awnings to end up into and cover them up. Well, then those caps were then designed to take into account the different shape of the new coach, so that we had more of an aerodynamic feature to that and fuel economy too. So the front of the coach is more rounded on the 9660 or sloped.
Yes, sir. And I've talked to a few late model Liberty Coach owners. Bill Bart said that, you know, he's got his new 9660 and just really noticed a difference, that it drives even smoother than his 2020 Liberty Coach. Are you noticing a lot of Liberty Coach owners noticing a difference in the drivability of the coach?
I think so, yes, because I think it's quieter. We had a super quiet coach to begin with, but now with changes, when the windshield and the wipers themselves, mirrors, things like that, there's a lot that we're seeing in there that is making positive changes to fuel economy, to the drivability of the coach, quietness of the coach, a lot of that.
Well, I know the new Cockpit has some more ergonomics where the seat can be adjusted a few different ways, so maybe some more options to get a little more comfortable
Yep,
for the
there's
driver
that too.
as well.
Yep, the 9660 has what's called the frunk. This drops down. This gets us into the dash air conditioning and heating system to be able to change filters. Windshield wiper motors are then accessed through here. There are two independent motors that run synchronously, so they do not have the tie bar arm in there like they used to on the Classic H. And there's more availability for different intermittent options and speeds. So this windshield is a lot larger, the wipers are larger as well, so you get a lot more clearing as far as that goes. And then we have the front end treatment that we do on the front of the coach as well. The Liberty Coach logo is illuminated. The front bumper drops down. We have storage behind the front bumper. Talk about this all the time. The bumper is one piece coming down, but it is done in 3 sections. So on the 9660, if you happen to damage the bumper, you can just replace that particular piece instead of having to do the whole cover like you had to in the past. The lights in the front, the LEDs, I mean, this thing really lights the road up sweet going down the road.
You know, the styling here as well, you know, what your brother did, just the angles and the lines of all of this, and then the way that Dean tied in his art design together, just a really aggressive, kind of a mean looking front end,
Yeah.
but really,
Yeah.
when you see this come up in your rear view mirror, there's no mistake in it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, as beautiful as the exterior of this coach is, I think they're going to be really impressed with the interior. Can we take a look inside?
Absolutely, let's get in there.
Great. Well, Frank, I think this is my new favorite interior. I know I've said that a lot of times, but just over the top, all of the little touches and the way there's so many different patterns that all tie together. What's going on in the interior?
This was between the client and Kim to put this all together. I think it was actually done even last fall when they came up to do the interior of the coach, but it's nice to see, you know, some different colors being introduced and not have, you know, all white as far as that goes, and have some different textures, getting us some fabrics as well, as far as instead of just all leathers. So this is really nice. It's really nice, comfortable.
I love the new lighting system with the long straight lights, and in the front entryway that was more updated as well.
Yeah, so being on a 2026, these items that are in here, like the ceiling is an upgrade, the lighting is an upgrade, the stairwell being floating appearance, the lighting underneath is an upgrade too as well. So there's some upgrades that are in this coach that some people are doing, some aren't. You know, it just depends on what their feel is as far as how their interior is. So it's pretty cool to see the differences that we've been able to do here. So they're not all the same.
Yes, sir. And being a triple slide, still a lot of living space here in the living area, and then, you know, very usable when the slide rooms come in. But what's all going on in this coach here?
Well, this is an extended galley. So we've got the longer galley here. It is a bath and a half. So we have the single chair here with a nice desk work arrangement set up here, and printer area if one desires. This coach has all of the undermount and soft closed door and drawer arrangements in it as well. That's becoming more and more popular. That's an upgrade on the coach also. The countertop being waterfall, you're seeing a lot of that we're doing. With the L booth, we're doing about half and half with the L booth and with the bar type arrangements. So it's got the swivel here, and the table does go in and out electrically. This is built by Liberty Coach, so this is a full cabinet that's underneath here, drawer storage under here as well.
See dovetail construction on those drawers
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
And I've got to compliment your sister-in-law and the owners of this coach. These different materials they selected. I've never seen anything like this that they use for the back on the booth and on the couch over here. That kind of abstract look, really cool.
Yeah, contemporary feel to it, you know, and still have a soft, comfortable look to it as well. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And how, you know, Kurt put the interior part together, because that Kurt runs the manufacturing facility, does the design work as far as the interior layouts and everything, as far as how the ceilings and all of that come together. So his imagination and his ability to put this together is pretty incredible as well. So we've got a lot going on in the kitchen area. There's storage that's underneath here that they had asked for. Utilize the space as much as possible.
Yes, sir. And I'm noticing a lot of little details. I know you're in and out of Liberty coaches all day, so I think sometimes you probably forget that this isn't the norm in other motor coaches. But like when we open this drawer up here, I just want to kind of just show the refinement of even the wood here, and then it's got like a woven vinyl inlay. You know, even inside the drawers, everything is precise, no gaps, just very refined.
Yeah. When you go up into the kitchen uppers, these lucite shelves here allows you to see what's up in that second shelf, especially for people that are a little shorter.
Yes, sir.
Vertical
Yes, sir.
challenge, so that
Yes,
you
sir.
can see what's going on up in there.
Well, and then that paper towel roll that Liberty
Yeah,
Coach does, just
right.
genius. Just, you know,
Yep.
thinking ahead so that your paper towel rolls out of the way, but still easily accessible.
Exactly. So a lot of drawer storage that's in here as well. I know comments that we get, people are like, okay, open up all the drawers, let's see what's all in there. So
Yeah, lots of space.
Yeah.
And this hardware is new.
Yeah.
Is that like a brushed nickel?
yeah,
or
bronze, I think, probably.
Whatever the latest and greatest
Yeah.
is, that's
Yep.
what they're using.
Yep. Cooktop here is going to be the Wolf unit, the inductive cooktop. And then we have the Mealy microwave oven, which is also convection oven as well. Keurig coffee maker, Fisher Paykel refrigerator that's built in with the freezer drawer below. Nice pantry with slide out boxes here. And again, the L booth, this is, you know, real slick on how the seating of it. You can comfortably seat, you know, 3 people there, maybe even 4. Depending on sizes.
Is there any additional sleeping in this coach, or is it just for couples?
The couch goes down, it jackknifes down. This is basically almost a full-size bed, so it's electrically driven down, and we have storage underneath here as well. So
Even, you know, the storage that you're pulling out below the sofa is lined with that woven vinyl material.
keeps things quieter as well inside, so you don't have stuff rattling around.
This is cool. This piece of furniture, this ottoman here,
yep.
just another one of those selections your sister-in-law picked out.
Yep, that and the accessories that are in here are picked out by her as well.
As we came into the coach, we didn't mention it, but there's also kind of mats that
Yep.
were built to go into this coach.
Correct.
It looks like.
Correct. We have each coach that we build has the custom mats that are in all the positions as you're walking into the coach. They can be washed with soap and water if you wanted to, vacuum, whatever.
And they even have leather piping around the edge, just even a more higher end mat than what we would see other floor mats.
Exactly.
Even have some nice artwork decor here, and so much, you know, indirect lighting below the countertop, below the cabinets. But coming down into the cockpit area here, we have a few steps down,
Right.
which I like because it separates this part of the coach, you know, the driving area from the coach. And is that what a lot of the H3 owners feel as well?
Yeah, for sure. And that's how the H became what it is anyway. H means high decker. So H3, 3-axle, 45 feet, high decker, so that in the tour industry, everybody that was sitting behind would be able to see over the driver. So everybody had the same view. So that's how this coach became what it was originally designed for back in the early 90s.
Yeah, do you remember the first, you were doing the X's before, the XLs before. Do you remember the first Liberty coach on the H?
Oh yeah, for sure, 1991.
Yes, sir.
You bet.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, 40-footer.
So what's going on in the cockpit, sir?
Well, you can see a lot of differences here in not only the cockpit, but the materials that were selected for this dash. It's kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it a crocodile look to it or ostrich as far as the material that's on the bonnet and on top of the dash and on the inserts of the seats. The steering wheel cover here as well for the horn. Cockpit arrangement here was designed by Kurt, my brother, along with the front and rear caps and the front end of the coach. So, you know, there's a lot that's able to be done here very easily. Everything is easy touch. Going down the road, buttons here, you know, the iPad. You've got the 10-inch display here for the AM/FM radio, which we have tied CarPlay to that so that you can do that with your Apple or with your Android phone to here. We have a clamshell clamping type charge device here, so you can put your phone here, can be charging. You can run your navigation there. This client then also wanted to do a center pillar monitor, which ended up being a Garmin navigation unit up here. We have the e-mirror displays here. And as I had mentioned earlier, we've got the blind spot detection system indicators that are on the A-pillar here and the center pillar. So when you're driving down the road, you can just be looking straight out the windshield and you have all this information right here without having to, you know, do much movement around. You do have the standard mirrors if you want to use those. I think as customers are using the coaches more and more and more, they're getting more used to these e-mirrors and they're just, you know, looking straight going down the road here. The steering wheel has changed for the 9660. It's got more controls to it. The dash has changed as well. So there's more information that's brought up through these controls here on the steering wheel. We have now now, instead of a key operation, the 9660 has the key fob like we have on the cars, and a push button start mechanism now as opposed to doing a key. So that has upgraded the system quite a bit as well. I had mentioned about the windshield wipers. There's a lot of different options as far as intermittent, speeds, delays, and again the speeds of the wipers as well. Plus you have the mist control, so you can just bump it to, just wipe it one time. The parking brake was moved to this position here from being back over here, so it's easier to get to. To operate the steering wheel for telescope, it's a lever that you press on a pedal. To be able to do that, it's a lot easier than it was on the classic units. And then the leveling system is done here. This is a valid unit, and the Prevost leveling system changed with the 9660 to be able to have 4 valves on the system as opposed to 3. So we used to have 1 in the front and 2 in the back, 1 on either side. Now we have 2 in the front, 1 on the left front, right front, and then of course we have the left rear and the right rear. So we have more flexibility as far as that goes. We have a heads-up display that displays onto the windshield as far as collision alert. The adaptive cruise control was upgraded as well. We have lane departure. So there's a lot of stuff that's in the Prevost chassis that is very safety and driver oriented for a more comfortable, safer experience going down the road.
Very impressive cockpit, and we hear over and over that Liberty Coach is the best driving coach in the world. That's from people that have driven all of them. They say there's just something about a Liberty, even versus other Prevost coaches. What is it about a Liberty that would make it drive better than other Prevost coaches out there?
There's a number of years ago where we changed. When I mentioned the Maritz Octoplex system, that wasn't just because of the fact of a touch screen system to do it. It also had to do with eliminating wire. So we eliminated almost 375 pounds of copper wire out of the coach by doing that, and also was able to then keep all the heavy cabling down below the floor level, so we didn't have to bring it upstairs into a breaker panel. So that kept everything down below. So our center of gravity then became lower. With having the 2 pass-through bays in the front empty, we're keeping more weight off the front of the coach. So the front of the coach feels different going down the road. So it's not clumsy, was a term that a customer used, that I've used for a few years comparatively, okay? When you're driving down the road and you're getting into turns that, are high-speed turns, and the coach isn't wanting to give you this lean feel to it, even though the chassis overcomes that with what they call the pony tanks, air tanks that are on top of the airbags. So once the thing starts to yaw, those tanks will empty then into the airbags to keep the coach level, okay? And then it'll do the same when it comes out of that. But we don't really have that so much because of the way that we balance the coach front to rear and side to side. A lot of people can notice it just before they even drive off the lot. They really can. And then once you get on the highway, they can really see it as well. You're driving down the road with one finger. You're not getting blown all over the place because you're not having to work the coach, through the grooves and whatever in the highway. So there is a difference.
Yes, sir, and I've had the opportunity to drive Liberty coaches, new, 10, 20, 30 years old, and it's just incredible. I'm always like, all right, I heard Frank say no squeaks or rattles to the original owners, but are we going to hear any squeaks and rattles? It's just incredible how well they hold up over time, and just such a refined coach. Now, when we stepped back into the coach here, there's so many little details that are drawing my eyes. And even these pillows, I talked about this backing here on the sofa, but these accent pillows these are over the top, super high end. Is that made by Liberty Coach?
We make those, yes we do. We make those in-house, you bet. We make the bedspread, we do most everything that we can, we make in-house. This booth here, we make in-house. The couch, we do not. This chair here has been upholstered. So there's things that we do in-house to be able to control the quality as best we can by doing that in-house. So a lot of those things are done that way for that reason. Countertops, cabinetry, we don't farm any of that stuff out or outsource it, if you will. Flooring we do in-house, all that stuff we do. All the upholstery work, you go into our shop and see where our upholstery shop is, you've got these big large panels that have to be done. Some are done inside the coach, some are done outside the coach. I've mentioned this before, our ceiling systems are the last thing that goes up inside the coach because the cabinetry, when we talk about squeaks and rattles, the cabinetry is secured directly to the beamwork of the coach. So when you see a shell in its position before the cabinetry goes in. You'll see where we have welded in certain sections to be able to have those positions to be able to secure the cabinetry or the air conditioning systems also, and the additional insulation that we do as far as that goes too in those areas to make it quieter. So there's a whole, big part of the concept to make this work.
You've got complete control over the quality, and you're not relying on third parties.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you've seen, different vendors. Sometimes quality can slip from a certain vendor, and you got to stay on them. So easier just to keep it in house and keep it at the highest level.
Exactly. This is new as well, the lighted vertical battens. You'll see this here and in the back of the coach, and also on the cabinetry in the back. We saw this on Coach 915, which is when it was first introduced. So that's an option to be able to do there. These panels here that are semi-translucent, they're pretty cool also. They give a nice design look to it. The bathroom's really nice backsplash here as well. Upholstered wall. And then this bathroom was changed a little bit, so it's a little bit wider on this side as opposed to being angled. So when you're in the bathroom itself, this is a little larger in this vanity area also.
Beautiful tile work and upholstery there. The wall in here is like something like what you would see on like the seats in a Bentley or Rolls Royce. I mean, just over the top how refined every square inch of these are. Now, is there a door here to section off?
Right in here there's a door that'll come across.
Yeah, super clean. I like that double look there. That's a little bit different there. Is that a newer style with the two hanging panels like that?
Well, when you think about it, the reason that it's kind of done that way is because of the fact if it was this wide, we would have to be going outside the coach.
Yes, sir. That makes sense. We don't always close that door, but is that how you've been doing that way for a while now?
Long time. Here in the hallway, washer dryer. This one happens to be an ASCO unit, so it's just requested by the customer. We do Bosch or ASCO, either one. And then you're catching the other side of the bathroom here.
Beautiful artwork in the bathroom as well. And this super suite, it definitely feels like a super suite back here.
There's no question. I mean, Kurt, when he had designed the bedroom arrangement for this, we asked Prevost to be able to move the bed framework so that it was in the center of the slide, so that then we have this enormous area in here, which is the super suite. So we end up with a significant amount of closet space here too. I mean, you've got closet here, deep enough that we even have the ability to have shoe storage behind the closet rod on both sides of the slide room. They have the Dyson vacuum. We've got one section of it mounted here, and then the main head unit mounted on this closet here.
Nice full-length mirror here as well on the inside of the closet door.
Yeah, both sides.
Assuming,
that one as well.
Yeah, just such a heavy-duty door. You can really feel the strength just opening that closet door.
Nice hamper at the bottom of that one.
This is a significant amount of hanging space.
Yeah.
I'd say there's probably close to 8 feet of hanging space just in this bedroom.
There's very close to that for sure. And then, lots of drawer storage as well. We have this big, enormous drawer that's at the bottom of the closet on either side of the slide room, and the soft close doors as well.
I don't know if I've seen this before, but having this kind of accent wall on the edge of the closet door, it gives it that like you're closing a Bentley door feel. Have you done that before? Or is that kind of newer?
We did that on 915.
Okay.
Was the first one we did it on.
Yeah, really, there's so much to take in. Every one of these coaches is just an overload of information, but just incredible, all of the details.
Lots of storage up in here as well on either side of the TV, and then more down through here also.
And those have to be the coolest drawer faces in the motor coach industry that match these accent walls.
Yep.
And then the way you've got indirect lighting below the drawers and then indirect lighting in between the countertop and the drawers.
And then we have the vertical battens that are backlit here on this wall.
Now these floors, you've got a flat floor throughout the coach behind the cockpit. Are these heated floors?
Yes. 100%. There's a mat system that runs through here, so you've got heated floor from front to rear.
And what type of material are these floors?
This floor is a wood veneer with a vinyl back to it, so it's real thin, so it's very lightweight. So the flooring that we have to do below it has to be perfect. It's a sandwich floor to be able to make sure that we have the heating mats in there for the heated floor elements, but then on top of that it has to be absolutely perfect. Because over time, if anything were to happen or any movement were to happen, it would telegraph through that and you'd see it on this flooring because it's so thin. But that gives it the light weight that we need to be able to have the drive and the balance and be able to keep with the specifications that Prevost has for the weight carrying capacity of the coach.
Yeah, that's something you don't want to be covering that in the lifetime workmanship warranty. So get it right the first time. It's probably a lot easier.
Right. Exactly right.
Yes, sir.
So king size bed back here. Safe is going to be located under the front of the bed. We have a single window back here. You've got the charge ports. You got outlets on either side with USB ports on them as well. They wanted to do iPads on either side of the bed, so you have full control of everything in the coach as far as that goes. Bathroom, we've got the vertical batten on the rear vanity. This also has the optional rear niche for the back splash of the rear vanity, so that gives a little bit more storage, more depth as well.
Is that like an agate or something? Or do you know what type of stone?
I believe that is an agate.
Over the top, not only do you have an agate backsplash behind your sink, but another agate backsplash in the shower here. Yeah. And this mosaic tile work on the, sorry, I'm just jumping ahead of you here, Frank. I got excited. The way this tied in the exterior and the interior colors, with the white and blues, just a really
well, and you can look at a different, when you get in there with the camera, you can see how we did per client request different in that corner for shelving, storage for the soaps and what have you. So we've got different arrangement here along the center pillar that what's in our typical shower on the tower. We've got shelving that's in here as far as that goes, instead of doing the step here for the stool. So it gives the shower a little bit bigger feel, I think, as well, by doing that. So, our showers are big. I think we have one of the largest showers in the industry.
Yes, sir. And I like that new lighting in the shower as well with the straight line. Really nice look. And we've talked about that before, the way you build your shower. I know you're very proud of that. I know there's a lot of effort that goes into that.
Right. So on the showers, the way that, and I've mentioned this before, the shower pan that we build, when you go through our shop, you'll see them sitting there. We weld up a stainless steel pan, and then it is put into the coach, and then it is cemented, and then we do the tile work. The walls of the shower are done in rock board, same as you'd have in your home. So we don't have the problem eventually down the road where water wants to impregnate into the stone and then get out and then get into the coach and then start to mildew and mold and what have you. It's not going to happen on this coach. The only way that water can get out of here is if you have the door open.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
We're real proud of that. It's been a part of our installation for many, many years, and you can tell when you walk into a coach right away.
And is there a vent with a fan here in the
There's
shower?
one specifically in the ceiling of the shower, and there's one in the mid-bathroom as well. So you've got two vent fans.
Yeah, I noticed the Airphone doorbell camera here. You've been using that for quite some time in Liberty coaches?
Yeah, we have. So so you can see where, who's at the door. You can talk to them. You can, catch what's happening without having to go to the front door. We have the cabinets in here to get to the different equipment that's in the coach as far as Starlink data, as far as cellular data equipment, Crestron equipment. Video switching is done back here as well, so it's all easy to get to. It's all lit up real nice as well.
Well, Frank, it's an absolute honor. I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity to see this coach. Now, if someone wants to see one of these in person, I know you and your team are going to be out at some of the best resorts in the country over the summer. Are there any opportunities for folks to see a Liberty coach in person?
Certainly. You can always see it here at the dealership. I mean, every month we have a new coach coming in. Even though it's sold typically, people can come in and see it, get ideas for orders. As far as that goes, we have great selection of pre-owned inventory from 09s, 07s, up to 2020s. We'll have a 2021 quad clump coming in here pretty soon as well. So there's opportunities there. We'll be at resorts like Hearthside Grove. We'll be at Mountain Falls. We'll be out at Spearfish in August. So there'll be opportunities to be able to see us as far as that goes. The best way to get to see what we've got is on the website as well. Call in 800-554-9877. Email in coachsales@libertycoach.com. Those are the best ways to get with us for sure.
And you've got some incredible Liberty Coach inventory, pre-owned inventory. I think there might even be a matching stacker trailer that goes with like a 2015.
There is.
Really cool looking, kind of copper colored Liberty Coach.
Yep, that's going to be on the Motorhome Exchange site here pretty soon.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Frank, can't thank you enough. It's been almost 6 years since the first video we did, and you've been a huge part of this channel's success. So can't thank you enough for all of the opportunities, and appreciate you. And if someone wants to purchase a new Liberty Coach, libertycoach.com is the place to go.
Do it.
Awesome.
Right on it.
Thank you,
Andrew.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody that watches. And I do look at and comment on the comments
Oh,
as
he
well.
does. Yeah, we appreciate all of your comments, and Frank's watching. So appreciate all of you subscribing, and hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.
Thank you.